welcome to the WellYES podcast. We're here at the HQ office in Hollywood, and I'm here with Dr. Jennifer Martin Biggers, my colleague, who is also our VP of Science and Innovation at So she's responsible for crafting all these incredible supplements that we all get to take on the daily. And we're here talking about vaginal health today, which is something I personally love to talk about with my girlfriends, with anyone really who wants to have the conversation, because vaginal health is so important and I feel like we don't talk about it enough. Jennifer, welcome to the pod.
Hi, Brooke.
Hi, how was your weekend?
It was good. It was very lovely. Yeah.
Good. What'd you do?
I was skiing, actually. So got out of LA and spent the weekend with some clean, fresh air in the mountains.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So fun. So vaginal health, is this something you and your girlfriends talk about, or is it like a little taboo still?
Some girlfriends, yes. Others, no. You know, you have like certain friends where you can have particular types of conversations with them, and others, they're a little bit more kind of conservative or standoffish and don't want to talk about it. How about you?
No, totally. Like, I have that group of girlfriends you can talk about anything with. Vaginal health, pregnancy, poop.
Yeah.
Your husband's annoying you or your girlfriend's annoying you. But, and then there's definitely the group where it's like, all right, maybe I shouldn't bring this up. Definitely have that. A little icebreaker to kind of like jump off into the vaginal chat. Is there one thing that you keep in your diet, food-wise, for your vaginal health in your house? Like, what's one thing you keep that you're like, I know my vagina is going to love this?
Yeah. Plain Greek yogurt. Yeah.
Yum.
Yeah.
You just scoop it, eat it. Any fruit?
Yeah. Put it with some fruit. Sometimes I don't want to just plain like a little bit of honey or something, but it's great with just, like raspberries or some sort of fruit or in a smoothie. Yum. It's great. And I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it, but it generally is high in lactobacillus probiotic strains, which are very good for vaginal health.
Yum. Okay, so we will dive into this. I promise everyone we will get to the nutrition and vaginal health part, but I'm super obsessed with Cocoa June because I'm dairy free.
Yeah.
And then with the berries for the prebiotic fiber.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
And then it's pro and pre. And then obviously I take my supplements to really help everything like round out and be optimal. But this Cocoa June is like my obsession every morning with blueberries.
Which flavor do you like?
Plain? Super plain and unsweetened.
I like the coconut one that they have.
Okay, I have to try that.
Good.
Yeah. I've only had the vanilla unsweetened.
Ooh,
That's good too.
I have to try that one then.
It's delish.
Yeah.
I hope my vagina's happy for it too. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about wellness trends that we're kind of feeling or not feeling for our WellYES and WellKnow section. I have a few, but I'm gonna let you start.
Okay, my WellKnow that I've been seeing a lot of is raw milk. And no from a food safety perspective. You know, as a dietitian and different classes that we had to take, there's a lot of, research around negative health effects of, microbes, bacteria that can be in milk that's unpasteurized. So for me, that's a no from a food safety perspective.
Okay. Yeah. But what if you had to choose between skim and whole milk then at the grocery stores, or something, one that's better than another?
Not necessarily. I mean, I generally go with like 2% or skim if I'm having regular dairy milk, just from like a calorie and fat perspective. The nutrient composition in terms of like protein and vitamins D and calcium are going to be the same. So it's just up to you. And then like kids, obviously, if you're under the age of 2, they still have to have whole milk to make sure that they're getting calories from it. So yeah.
I feel like the French are doing something right. They just like full fat everything and just walk everywhere and are so fit. I feel like I don't know how they do it. So.
Yeah, it's so individual, right? Like I have, when I used to do like one-on-one kind of like nutrition counseling, it kind of depends on like people's overall dietary habits and intakes and such.
True, it's individual, not one shoe fits all. And then what's your WellKnow?
That is my WellKnow.
Oh, sorry. Scratch cut. What's your yes?
My yes, and I'm not as well versed on the science since I'm, nutrition person,
Yeah.
but is lymphatic drainage massages. I've kind of like gone down the rabbit hole even myself of watching videos on YouTube of people showing, like on your face and
Oh, yeah.
massages, and for nothing, it feels really good, and like dry brushing, and it just makes me feel really nice and invigorated. And I know people, if you have lymphatic drainage problems like lipedema, it can be really helpful and important too. So for me personally, that's a yes.
Well, I'm on your yes train. I dry brushed this morning.
Nice.
And I lymphatically drain through, like in my face, I do lymphatic massaging through my jaw into the lymphs with my knuckles.
Yeah.
And it kind of hurts a little bit just when you put enough pressure. When I get facials, I do that as well by this amazing person in Malibu that will drain through the lymph. Super into that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a yes and a no.
Okay.
And for those of you that don't know me or see me on the pod regularly, I'm really into wellness, and I'm always open and into trying new things if it's beneficial to wellness and health every day. So my yes, we'll start there, is a vaginal probiotic. For many years in my 20s, I would see vaginal probiotics marketed, right? And at Whole Foods or various grocery stores. And I just didn't think, they probably don't do much. And then I got Private Party from Hum, and it changed everything, particularly after I was hospitalized for UTI. And the more I learned about the product and what goes into it and how beneficial it can be, efficacious to my vaginal health, it is something I do not skip. Or travel without. Like, it's always in my travel bag too. So I'm really into that. What are your thoughts on vaginal probiotics?
Oh, I love it. I've taken a vaginal probiotic for at least 10 years now. Taken Hums for probably like four or 5 years now at this point. But yeah, the science is very good in terms of showing how these probiotic strains work to promote like a more acidic environment, helps with warding off different types of infections like BV, like yeast. So if you are especially prone to that, it's very beneficial.
Well, that's good to know. So anyone wants to look into Private Party, it's an amazing probiotic. Okay, and then I have this wild wellness trend as a no. This is my no. Banana peel Botox.
What is this?
Which people are rubbing banana peels on their face, and they think it is like Botox.
Is there like a natural chemical in the bananas that snatches your skin?
So I need to do more research on this, but I just don't feel like rubbing a banana on my face. I prefer it in my smoothies and the peels going to my whatever you call that. It's
compost.
So that's my no.
Yeah.
Not feeling it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't really want to rub a banana on my skin.
Yeah. Not rubbing banana peels on our skin. Okay. No. So what's up at Hum HQ? We are talking about a lot of things right now in the office. We're super jazzed on different topics, and we always bring it back to nutrition. It's such an important foundation for kind of everything else. And we're really into the GLP-1 conversation right now. We have our great new fiber powder. It's a GLP-1 booster. And we're also really into vaginal health, championing women's bodies and their wellness and the autonomy over our bodies, right? And
definitely.
And really making sure that conversation is important and loud and heard. So we're going to talk about vaginal health and nutrition. And Dr. Jen, you're the expert, so we're about to learn a lot from you.
Love it.
Okay, so we're going to jump right in. Why is vaginal health so critical? And why are we so shy about discussing it still?
I'll start with why we're shy about discussing it. A lot of it tracks back to we don't necessarily know a whole lot about vaginal health because of there being a lack of research into women's health areas in particular. So you kind of get this environment of, being kind of like shy or nervous when it comes to talking about, genitals and different types of like sex organs that we have. Plus, then you layer on that there's a lot of science that's still unknown, and there's also good science that's been done that just hasn't been amplified in certain ways. Again, because it's like, oh, well, we don't really need to like talk about that, or we feel a little kind of like icky about it. So there's a bunch of different things that are sort of contributing to that lack of a conversation.
Okay. And then I feel like vaginal health, our bodies are these incredible, like it's a system. There's an ecosystem in our bodies that's working like 360. So vaginal health can affect, I'm imagining, other things within our bodies. So it would be very crucial to pay attention to what's going on down there. What are some signs that maybe your vagina isn't healthy or your vaginal health is off?
So if you're experiencing like abnormal odor or abnormal itching and things like that. So generally our vaginas have a certain type of odor, and you kind of like know what it is if you pay attention or get to know it. If it's off, if it's fishy, if it's worrisome, that generally is a pretty good sign that there's some sort of potential infection that's brewing, like BV or Candida, like a yeast infection. You're going to sense kind of like differences. One of the things too that often women, as we get older and go through perimenopause and into postmenopause, there's a lot of changes that also happen with our vaginas because of the shifts in our estrogen levels. So the epithelium, the tissue starts to thin, which can cause like itchiness and discomfort and lack of lubrication. It's a variety of different things that can, start to give you signs that something is off.
It's like different phases as we age too. So for those that don't know what BV is or Candida, people say it different ways. Like break it down to what those two things are, because I do think there are a lot of women and people out there that don't know what it is or what those two things are.
Yeah, and it's, when I've talked with my own personal OBGYN and my sister's a physician and like patients that she sees too, it's people just like it feels weird down there, right? So BV, it's a bacterial vaginosis. It's a bacterial infection. If you have, generally people who have BV, that's when there's like a really pronounced sort of a fishy odor. Candida, I kind of go back and forth with what I call it, is it's your standard yeast infection. And there's a couple different types of like species specific of yeast that you might be, get yeast infections from. But that's a little bit different. That there's more like, it's usually like you get a little bit of discharge with BV, and then there's also like discharge and like more whitish, kind of like clumpy discharge with yeast infections.
Okay, so those are some things to look out for, and that's what BV and Candida are. So if anyone's experienced some of these issues, talk to your doctor, look into it. What's interesting too is like when you travel, a lot of people wear spandex, but for a long haul flight, it's probably not the best idea because bacteria can like breed in there, right? From the moisture, if like you get warm or whatnot. Is that true?
Yeah. Because most types of bacteria and like bacteria that cause BV, it needs, moisture and like a food source also. So yeah, if you've got like kind of like wetness and stuff like that, if it's not able to breathe very well, so you'll hear people, OBGYNs recommend wearing like cotton underwear. Don't keep on a wet swimsuit because that can lead to like BV or like UTIs too. So
okay, well,
yeah, very true.
Super good to know.
Yeah.
And then nutrition is so critical to our vaginal health. So I really want to dive in a bit there. So let's start with foods to eat. If you're really trying to stress like optimal health and optimal vaginal health, what are some foods that we all should be paying attention to and incorporating into our diet?
So making sure that you're getting foods that have lactobacillus strains of probiotics in them, whether it's like your coco june or yogurts, certain types of like kefirs and kombucha. You don't necessarily know if they've got lactobacillus in it, but if they have it added to it, that can also be something that you want to look for on the ingredient list. So making sure that you're getting probiotics either through food or via a supplement. Making sure that you're getting plenty of antioxidants, helping with like normal blood flow to keep your tissue healthy down there. So I like to recommend like blueberries are fantastic for that. Spinach is great for that. Also, different types of like nuts and seeds that are high in minerals like zinc are very beneficial also. Zinc is really helpful for tissue healing as well, so I definitely recommend like nuts, seeds as well. And then also from like a hormonal perspective, there's foods, again, nuts and seeds are good for helping with hormone balance. Omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins A, vitamin C, foods that have those are also very good.
Well, it's kind of like seed cycling, right? Is what you're touching on, which we
Yeah.
have a great article on seed cycling on our blog, The WellNest. So everyone check that out.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So what are some foods to limit then? What should we avoid?
Definitely foods that are high in refined sugars. And the reason being, when I mentioned like the bacteria needs a food source or the yeast needs a food source, if you have elevated blood glucose levels, and they've shown in studies that women who have poorly controlled diabetes, for example, they are more likely to have yeast infections. And women who consume diets really high in like refined sugars are more likely to also have BV. The reason being that these sugars interfere with the normal lactobacillus that is in your vagina that's helping to keep this acidic environment. Sorry, my brain is like so off this morning.
That's okay. Mine is too. And like I've had a very strong matcha. We're under caffeinated this morning.
So under caffeinated.
Great. We might keep some of this and we'll keep it in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Me being like, so the sugars can lead to like dysbiosis, and dysbiosis means that the healthy bacteria that's in the vagina can be negatively affected, and then you're not producing enough of lactic acid, which is a byproduct that your lactobacillus bacteria produce, which helps to keep your pH at a lower level.
Whoa.
And when that pH balance gets thrown off, that's when it's easier for the bacteria to grow.
Wow. That's super interesting. Sugar is so crucial and critical, like to pay attention to your sugar intake because it's connected to so many things. And I was reading that I think like 75% of women will suffer from vaginal candida in their lifetime, like at least once.
Yep.
Which we've kind of already talked about a bit, but the link to sugar and your health and your vaginal health is so crucial.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to keep things healthy down there. It's like maybe don't eat so much sugar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
Super
that's definitely
interesting.
the number one thing that I tell people, like, to watch out for. And like, I know me, if I'm like, oh, gonna like maybe feeling something coming on, like making sure taking probiotics, taking private party,
Yeah.
and really cutting out any added sugars.
Yeah. Well, that's super good advice. And then there's cranberry. And cranberry, I think a lot of us will like rush to get a cranberry juice if we feel a UTI coming on. And
Yeah.
cranberry is paramount in many ways. But can you break down the importance of cranberry and how it affects our vaginal health and why or actually how can it support our vaginal health too? Like really what's going on with cranberry?
Yeah, so cranberry is really interesting. I remember when I was like an undergraduate and stuff, you would hear, oh, cranberry's good for UTIs. We think it's good for UTIs, but there's not really good like clinical research to substantiate and support that. So in the past like 10 plus years, 10, 15 years, a lot of research has been done to sort of validate, well, what is it about cranberries that can help with UTI prevention? So what researchers have found is there's a specific type of bioactive proanthocyanidin in cranberries, and it's a very potent antioxidant. And these proanthocyanidins, or like PACs, you'll see them abbreviated as. We specifically have cranberry that's standardized to have a specific amount of PACs in private party. These PACs, what they actually do is once they make it down to your urinary tract, these specific compounds actually release like a protein that helps to prevent bacteria from adhering to the lining of your urethra. And there's also some evidence that shows that it kind of decreases the motility of bacteria. So the bacteria, like, for lack of a better kind of analogy, like they can't like swim up as easily into your urethra. So very interesting that there is this like actual really potent mechanism, and then it's also been reflected in clinical trials that these PACs help to reduce recurring UTIs because of that effect.
Wow. So will like good old fashioned cranberry juice have the same, does it have the same effect as like a cranberry supplement or taking the PACs?
Yeah, it can if you drink like a lot. So there's it kind of depends like how many PACs are in different types of juices depending on like production mechanisms. There's different types of cranberry extracts that have different amounts of PACs in them that you can specifically look for. So maybe, right? But definitely what I always tell people is make sure that you're using like if you really need something potent, go to like a supplement, because you know then that you're getting like a specific amount that's going to help with with that UTI reduction.
Okay, potency paramount, but
Yeah.
I'd imagine too you don't want to grab a cranberry juice off the shelves that has sugar in it, because that would then defeat a lot of the purpose of helping your vagina heal.
Yeah.
Your UTI, urinary tract. Okay.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Well, I love talking all things women's health and vaginal health and having these open discussions, whether it's about our vagina or our breasts or whatever it is, period poops.
Yeah.
How can we kind of destigmatize the vaginal health conversation? I don't know if you have any ideas or tips and tricks as an educator yourself on how we can have these conversations.
To me, it really starts with just doing this, with having the conversation and using correct words too, with being very kind of specific, and instead of kind of like making like silly nicknames, which can be fun. But if we want to take it serious as like serious medical and health issues, then treat it as something that's serious.
Yeah. I want to get personal for a minute, and I would love to hear from you too, Jen, and I can open it up, but I mentioned earlier that I had a UTI that landed me in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I had been traveling to a foreign country, and I forgot my private party. This was a few years ago now. And I had the symptoms of a UTI a few days into the trip. And I thought, well, I can just flush it out, hydrate well, I'll be okay. And I was in the Middle East, so I was like in a very foreign spot. I didn't speak the language or feel familiar with like the pharmacies around me. So I thought, okay, I can just flush this out and it can naturally pass.
Yeah.
And when I got home, I feel like I had a day of reprieve, and then a fever set in. And then I thought, oh, I'm getting the flu or something, whatever. I've caught something on the airplane. Then I had a very high fever, and I had the chills and pains and aches and a headache that was so unbelievably excruciating. It felt like I was slamming my head against a wall. And then made the decision, it's time to go to the hospital. I could not ignore that.
Yeah.
And it turned out I had a severe UTI that was then affecting my kidneys.
Yep.
And was just shy, I guess, of going sepsis. If I remember that correctly. That's like the a terrible step.
Full body infection.
Full body.
That's bad,
And so I thought, wow, this all originated from a urinary tract infection that I ignored.
Yeah.
And I have never left home without my private party for a trip again. I really pay attention to my vaginal health because of this, urinary tract health, how am I feeling? But like taking that probiotic with me every day is also, it feels like such a security blanket of keeping things really healthy, especially as I travel and I'm in different environments, or I've been on long airplane rides, dehydrated, like all the things.
Yeah.
So it's like this conversation is so interesting to learn from you, but also like it is personal because I've been through this. And then I started talking to girlfriends and they've been through it too.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I was in the hospital for that too. I'm like, that's crazy. Like that it gets to that point. I don't know. Have you dealt with anything like that?
Luckily, personally, no. I mean, I've had like bad UTIs, but never ended up in the hospital. When I worked in hospitals as a clinician, would definitely see people in the hospital with, really terrible UTIs that had pulled into like a bladder or a kidney infection then. A lot of times it was older older women or people that had catheters, that sort of a thing. But you would, we definitely would see it. And it's serious. And you make a good point also with traveling. Because like not being hydrated enough, again, you're not like flushing these bacteria through your urinary tract. It also helps with like hydration of your vagina as well. Help keep those tissues healthy, which is important. Help keep feeling good. And then the other interesting thing is they've also shown in research that your gut bacteria can migrate to your vaginal microbiome as well. Okay. So we know when we're traveling and you're eating different types of foods, you're in different environments, your gut microbiome can sometimes like go a little bit wonky and haywire. Yeah. So that's like another thing that, could potentially contribute while you're traveling.
Yeah. Okay. So like lots of things to pay attention to. Not only is it the vaginal health, it's like the gut health, because everything affects the other. Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of travel, I think we should travel right on into listener questions and RD rapid fire, which are so fun. At Hum, we love our community. We like hearing from you all. Hit us up on Instagram via DM, TikTok. You can find us on YouTube as well. And, we love hearing from you guys about everything and anything. We're here for you. So a couple listener questions, Jennifer. What's the deal with pH balance and how can nutrition help?
So we talked a little bit about like sugar and different types of like probiotics. So these things are going to affect pH balance primarily by affecting the lactobacillus species of probiotic strains that are naturally living in your vagina. These bacteria produce lactic acid as a byproduct, which is acidic and helps to keep that pH lower in the normal healthy range.
Okay. Are vaginal detoxes real or dangerous?
I would say it can anything that can disrupt the natural flora or negatively affect that natural flora, that natural microbiome that's in your vagina, is probably not a good idea, and that can be damaging and disruptive for sure. Okay. And it's you hear oftentimes people talking about the vaginas being self-cleaning, which sounds weird, but they are. So no need to do a detox.
Well, if they're self-cleaning and you need like an extra little boost, what should we be cleaning our vaginas with?
Most people just say water. Yeah.
So no soap?
I would say talk to your OBGYN. Okay. I've seen kind of like some people say just water, other people say like a very mild sort of a soap. No scents, no douching, don't like put stuff up there. I'd say like stay away from like, scenty things that are supposed to, make your flowers smell good.
Oh, totally. Well, okay, so consult your OB if you're really concerned or curious. Yeah. But it's kind of like the scent thing is a whole nother pod we can do. I mean, endocrine disruptors.
Yeah,
it's a thing.
Totally.
It's a thing. How do you know if your vaginal health is off? We talked about this, but like the quick hits.
Abnormal odor, abnormal discharge, itchiness or discomfort or pain.
Burning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's a yeast infection thing.
I'm like all of these. I'm like, oh, thinking about these.
Brutal. We deal with it as gals.
Yeah.
All right. So now we are going to do RD rapid fire, and you're such a wealth of knowledge. Again, like Jennifer is just so brilliant.
Thank you,
Dr. Jen. What are the top 3 foods? Just 3 that you should eat for optimal vaginal health?
I would say probiotic-rich foods. For me, it's plain yogurt, blueberries, and fatty fish for omega-3s.
Yum. Okay. Can supplements like probiotics really make a difference for the vaginal microbiome?
Yes.
Definitely. Okay.
That's my very, very quick, rapid, yes.
Yes, period. What's one nutrient most people overlook that's critical for vaginal health?
I would say... I would probably say vitamin D, with the reason being vitamin D is one of these like super nutrients that's great at doing lots of different things in our bodies, but because of its importance in our immune health and immune function, it can be, beneficial to make sure you have sufficient vitamin D if you are fighting one of these infections.
Isn't like everyone deficient in vitamin D?
A lot of people are.
A lot of people.
Yeah. It depends what you like, where the cutoff level is and how you assess it. But yeah, it's very common.
I am a big vitamin D supplement fan, taker. We have one called Here Comes the Sun, and I take that. It's so crucial to bone health too, isn't it?
Yeah. Immune health, bone health, hormone, like you name it. It's super, super important.
Okay, so vitamin D for vaginal health. Are there any specific ingredients to avoid or foods to avoid when trying to maintain a healthy pH balance?
Sugars, and like in particular, like highly refined, kind of like white cane sugars. Alcohol can kind of disrupt that. I know it's a bummer, but yeah, I would say definitely alcohol. Certain types of like highly processed food, if they're high in these like refined sugar amounts, and dairy can cause issues for some people.
Is that an inflammation thing?
It's related to like its effect on the bacteria, the microbiome, like the lactobacillus levels.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What's the biggest myth about nutrition and vaginal health that you'd like to debunk? This is a good one.
I would say that you need to like do anything like crazy to keep it healthy. Like the stuff we've been talking about with limiting like highly refined sugars, not consuming a ton of alcohol, making sure you get plenty of like whole grains and nuts and seeds and omega-3 fatty acids and vitamins and minerals. These are like really important things for your health in general that are also really great for your vaginal health. So I would say, it's that there's no crazy thing that we need to be doing to help keep our vaginas healthy. It's good, healthy, important things that are good all the time to be doing.
So simple is best. It's kind of like one of those rules of thumb in life.
Yeah,
Simple
totally.
is best. Okay,
Yeah.
so don't overcomplicate it.
Yep.
Well, this was so fun and incredibly informative.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dr. Jen.
Thanks for coming up with this topic. I'm, like I said, very happy to talk about it and kind of destigmatize things.
Amazing. I can't wait to continue the women's health conversation with you. We'll tackle something kind of new, and if our viewers have anything that they want to hear about and want Jen to shed some really incredible light on, let us know. We are here to chat about anything and everything. Thank you for joining us. This has been an awesome pod today. I'd like to say a big thank you to our Hum community for those that have subscribed. But if you haven't, hit the subscribe button, give us a like and a share to your friends. Hit us up on social with any questions or concerns. We want to hear from you guys, and we look forward to seeing you on the next pod.